Church, welcome to Devotionables, brief devotions for busy people. Today we're going to be looking at the next big section in Genesis. If you follow along with us in the F260 reading plan, you'll see where you probably already read Genesis 37, the introduction to Joseph. And it's kind of taken a break. If you noticed, as we've been reading Genesis for these last 4 weeks, Genesis is got this one major theme of who is this promised seed in Genesis 3:15. And so we're tracking through where the line of Jesus ultimately. But if you're a Jewish person, you don't know who this promised seed will be. You just know it's from Abraham, and then Isaac, and now Jacob. So which of Jacob's sons? But now we're going to see the story of Joseph, who is not in that line. No, that's Judah. But we're going to see the story of Joseph here. And so this is the introduction of the narrative. We see a dysfunctional family. We see Joseph that seems to like to anger his brothers, likes to brag about the dreams he has. We see Jacob that likes to provoke anger to his sons that aren't named Joseph by giving Joseph a special coat of many colors. We see Reuben. He's trying to deceive his brothers by throwing Joseph in the pit, saying, let's not kill him. Let's just throw him in a pit so then really secretly I can save him because I need to restore myself back to Jacob because go back to Genesis 35. Reuben messed up. And then the lie that these 11 brothers tell Jacob of how Joseph died tragically when really they sold him, kept the money for themselves. So you read through the story, the tension is building. You see the dreams. You see how he's sold off. And it ends, Genesis 37 kind of ends just letting you know what's coming next, how he's sold off to Potiphar. And you know how Joseph has some success with Potiphar and then ultimately has something huge happen that kind of derails all of his success. But when I was reading this story, I was asking myself a lot of questions. And I think you guys should contemplate these same questions. Why does the Bible start tracking Joseph? Again, not in the line of Jesus. Why does the Bible focus so much of Genesis on the story of Joseph? And I have many reasons I can think of, but I want you to think about that for yourself. Second, who is to blame for what happens to Joseph? Is it Joseph himself? Is it Jacob? Or is this all just part of the sovereign plan of God? Or maybe it's a combination of all those. And then I was also struck with kind of the repetition. As you're reading Genesis, you're probably seeing a lot of repetition, especially as you track this family. And so even here, the sons that go and deceive the father. That should sound pretty familiar to us as we've been reading through the book of Genesis. We see just a number of, as you could call it, generational sins that take place in this story. But as I was reading this, I kept reminding myself of Genesis 50:20. All these things that the brothers planned for evil, no, God had a plan for good. It reminds me of murder mystery movies. They seem to be very popular. Netflix, I saw, is coming out with a murder mystery movie starring Adam Sandler, an unlikely protagonist, I would think, in a murder mystery. But I love with a good murder mystery, you can watch it a second time because you know the ending, you know the big turn, you know the big reveal, and when you watch it a second time, you see things that you weren't supposed to see. Clues that you didn't catch the first time around become obvious. And when you keep Genesis 50:20 in mind, when you read Genesis 37, it all makes sense. It makes sense of a story that just doesn't seem fair to Joseph. Why is this happening? How can these brothers hate him this much? But God had a plan to protect his people. And he did that through Joseph, who was faithful, no matter what trial came his way. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.